Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 115 of the Self-Publishing Roundtable, the podcast for indie authors by indie authors, where we discuss today's topics and issues that matter to the business of the self-published author. I am your moderator, Wade Finnegan, and my co-panelist for this evening is the one and the only Xavier Granville.
Hello, Internet.
Michelle and Liam are on a little hiatus tonight. Feel better, both of you. As you can tell, I'm a little bit under the weather too, but I am manning up.
Ooh, the entire United States, it seems, as far as the Spurt crew is fallen under influenza.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how that all happened, but it did. Our special guest.
You all got it.
Our special guest for this evening is Chrishaun Keller Hanna, or CK to her better friends.
Hello.
Chrishaun is a technical writer by trade, but she's also dabbles, if you will, in the fiction and has some great insights on some world building and fast drafting stuff. And we thought it would be great to have her on right before NaNoWriMo, and she's actually going to do a class on November 3rd too, which we'll talk more about towards the end of the show. So Chrishaun, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I am so glad you asked, and so excited because I talk a lot.
Cool. We love talking a lot. Chrishaun, just for those that are not in our inner circle and maybe listening or watching tonight, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to this point in your writing journey.
My name is Chrishaun Keller Hanna. I've been a writer since I was 21 years old. I'm 43 now. And I was a mid-list author writing as a ghostwriter in collaborative science fiction under a single pen name. There was, actually, we were literally called Legion. There was many of us writing one series within one name, and that ended. And I left, got a PhD, traveled a bit, raised kids, always flirted with writing fiction again. And I ended up doing things like writing D&D modules and D20 modules, but never really got back to writing fiction, which I absolutely love. When I turned 40 and my girls got old enough to drive themselves places and do things like go to college, I decided I was going to write again. And that's when I got involved with NaNoWriMo. That was the first time. 2010 was the first time I completed or won NaNoWriMo, and I've won ever since.
Nice.
And during that time, I was also a tutor at Texas State University, where I taught engineers how to write cleanly and concisely, and I also worked with the fiction writers on how to get their mindset correct to write, and even if it killed them, and how to build their worlds in a way that would keep them from procrastinating. And that's the fast drafting class that I recently taught, and world building, which we're going to talk about now, came out of that.
Nice. Excellent. Cool.
Yeah.
What a nice diverse background too. I like all the different avenues you got coming there. So I think it adds to the intrigue of talking to you tonight. So.
And it makes a very interesting fiction.
I bet it does. I bet it does. All right, so let's dive right into the world building stuff, because that's the main reason we had you on. And so you had an interesting statement in the pre-show, and so I was good. And I actually kind of had a question about this already. So a lot of people get wrapped up in building worlds before they begin to write. And,
yes, they do.
And you say that's not necessarily a good idea.
That is the worst possible thing you can do. Let me tell you.
Yeah, fix me, because I've done this then the wrong way. Go.
All right. So, Joe Schmo, Jane Doe wants to be a novelist, wants to write fantasy, read it all their lives, and they
Of course he does.
Of course he does, because he absolutely loves it and she absolutely adores it. So what's the first thing they do? They say, well, I have to build this world. And they spend years making languages and races and talking about the weather patterns. And you ask them, well, how's it going along? Well, I'm still trying.
It's going.
Right, I'm still trying to put the final touches on my world. I'm like, where's the book? You've written 400, 500, 600,000 words of research, and you haven't written the book yet. Oh, I'll get to it. No. you're never going to get to it. Is that right? At best, you should be, if you are beginning a series or beginning a world, you should not do no more than 5% of your world before you finish your first draft. 5%.
5%. That's not very much, Chrishaun.
That's not very much at all. That is literally your plot, your beats, the location, the characters, the basics of the magic system, and especially the consequences of using the magic system.
Okay, yeah.
And that's it. Because, and this plugs into fast drafting, which I'm going to backpedal just a little bit, you're going to be working on your raw draft. Your first job as a writer is to get a raw draft out there. I'm talking about something that's so raw it gives you salmonella, right?
Yeah.
Something that you literally, after you handle it and set it aside, you must wash your hands because it will make
this is bad sushi.
Yes, that level of raw, right? This is the draft that has the misspelled words. This is the one that has sentences that go off into nowhere. This has people like, I don't even know what happened. It just fell out my head and landed on the page. This is the smiling poop emoji of version of your book, right? And with that, you do not need to edit it. You do not need to go back and hit backspace. I teach my students, go into whatever writing software you're using, go into a full composition mode, turn off backspace, turn off spell check, turn off autocorrect. That's usually the time where one or two of them just kind of straight faint. Because they don't want to hear.
I'm getting nervous just listening to you.
Right? And along with turning off the TV, turning off Wi-Fi. And if you've had a class with me before, and some of you who are listening have, you know that I say find a plotting. If you're a pantser, find a plotting book that you like. For plot-based, story-based, I use My Story Can Beat Up Your Story, and for character-based, I use Take Your Pants Off. Write your plot, write your beats, determine how many words you want to write, determine how many days it's going to take to write them, divide your plot by that many. So with me, the first 10 days of NaNoWriMo, I have 3,000 words, so I have a page for each one of those. I set one of those pages down, I have it set up, I prime my pump a little bit by writing longhand, then I type. And I do not stop until I reach my time limit or I reach 3,000 words. And let me tell you, my mind is a very weird place, and it takes me all different kinds of places. That's fine. You don't stop until you run out of gas. That's when you go pick up the sheet that you have for your plot today, find a point that inspires you, and continue on, right? What does this have to do with world building?
Okay, hold on. We've got to back up. So that plot sheet, what are you putting on that plot sheet?
What you're putting
on that?
Mm-hmm. This is your beats for the day. This is what I'm going to write about in theory. Whether or not you actually get to writing to it or not, that depends on how good your groove is going. There are sometimes I can look at it and see, well, okay, Grant Lee is supposed to be getting from the Allosaurus to the nursery, and he has to swim, and he's going to meet up with the whales, and he has to give them tribute, and so we're going to head in that direction. If it's a good day, then by the time he's reached that shore, he's gone off and gotten swallowed by one of the whales and has to fight his way out of it and just bloodied himself and chum, and now man-eating piranhas coming after him. And then he fights them off, and then he hitches a ride with a little porpoise who doesn't consider him worth his time but going to help him anyway because the person he's trying to see he likes, and then he lands on the shore. Some days, he just gets to the shore, right? And for those slow days, and you run out of gas, you look, well, okay, now he's made it to the shore. What do we write about next? And you keep on writing. Right?
Okay. And that first book you mentioned, I know that Take Your Pants Off. We've talked about the Hawker's book quite a bit. But what was the first book you mentioned?
My Story Can Beat Up Your Story.
My Story Can Beat Up Your Story. And that you say you use for more of a plot-based.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because it's actually a book for screenwriting.
Oh, okay.
Jeffrey Allen Schechner, Schechter.
Okay, cool. A new one I have not heard of. So.
Yeah, screenwriting books are great for that as far as compacting script and like especially when you're getting down to the nitty-gritty of going to plotting out a really quick plot. If you look at the formulas of movies, it's so archetypal that it's so black and white as far as what those certain things of you introduce your character, you have them establish what their goals are, and then eventually they're going to either achieve or kind of half achieve them, or if in the case of the romantic comedy, they're going to kind of half win the girl, but then she's going to realize the reason why she likes him is not the reason why she's supposed to like him. Then he's going to have to prove why she likes him, blah blah blah. There's a formula to these things, and film does it in a way that it especially for if you're reading how to write screenwriting, it's going to break down a film in a way that you can really see just that A to B to C. And whereas if you're trying to write a book, you have the option of going sprawling, but especially in the case of with NaNoWriMo coming out, you should not be focused. You can't be focusing on just going off on your own little path, and
you absolutely cannot do that.
You can't.
And the thing I like about My Story Can Be of Your Story is it inspired a software called Contour, which follows the same thing, and it gives you your beats. So it makes it easy for you to separate it. So you separate. I know I'm writing 30,000 words over 10 days, 3,000 words. And so I separate my plot between 3 days. This is what I'm writing, and I've written. And other than knowing who your characters are and what you said in the plot, you should be doing nothing else with your world building at all until you finish the entire thing. And the reason why that is because your subconscious is smarter than your plot. And if you've really been reading in your genre or outside of your genre, or if you're a voracious reader or a voracious consumer of media and stories, as you get your flow, interesting things will come out. Interesting dilemmas will come out. You're more apt to put your characters in more believable danger. And then when you're finished with this, you look over it and it's time to read. That's when you pull out relevant pieces of your world and put them into what I refer to as a book Bible.
Yes.
And what that is basically a list of articles about every one of your characters, all the locations, and it keeps you honest and it keeps all your stories straight. I shared this earlier, I set up one of the book Bibles so y'all can take a look at what I'm talking about, and it's at nope.wpengine.com.
Nope. Say that one more time.
Nope. .wpengine.com.
Okay. Can you screen share that, or is that possible? I think it is. We should be able to if we get the toolbox working.
Yes, if we can get that toolbox working, and
I'll see. Xavier, can you pull it up?
I will try.
I appreciate that. You're my tech guy on the show, So.
Good gravy.
And what I love about this is that it allows you to update everything as you go through your. Oh, my screen just went blank. That was odd. Oh, there we are.
Do you see this?
As you go through, yes, I do. The
okay, good.
Rewriting process.
For everybody listening, you'll have to check it out later. But everybody watching, look right now.
Screen sharing. Ha.
And
okay.
Most of this stuff I have collected over the course of writing several novels that I probably will never see, several truck novels that will never see the light of day. Right?
And that's just because, or?
That's because I wrote them and I put a lot of time into trying to revise them, and the story just didn't make any sense, and it was unreadable. And so
what do you say, Chrishaun, to those people that say, well, okay, that's great and all, But now what if I have to scrap a lot of it, or you get a story that you say is unreadable or doesn't make any sense, and they're like, if I would have spent more time maybe laying things out, figuring things out ahead of time, then I wouldn't have this problem.
Actually, if you spent more time laying it out, you wouldn't be writing your book.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like,
honestly, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nassif.
Well, I think what, like you said, I think going back and creating a Bible, and that's where I guess what's familiar to me about that is what they would do for pre-production on a film or pre-production on a television production that in the past that I've been involved with. They would always have this, so you would have your raw script, and that script from there would have about I don't know, 50 to 100 extra pages of these detailed notes, like you said, of just the things that are correlated to the not only just based off the script, but how they're building the production around it. So if you're going to be having X amount of scenes involving this character conversing with this character, you're going to be coordinating the production days of shooting according to these two particular actors' schedules. So that's going to be in the production Bible as well as the script. But it ends up being this one large contained unit that ultimately will feed into it. But, like I said, that rough script obviously had been created in order for that production Bible to even be there in the first place. So you do have to have these rough things in order. So, like you said, if you have those rough beats, that's enough to start writing with. So don't worry about too much of the world building, because you get to build the world afterwards when you come back and actually put the world into that crappy rough draft that you just spat out, because you got to spit it out first before you can actually craft something good.
And another thing, because someone literally told me, see, this is why I don't do it. I want to make sure it's all set, because you've had to throw away 3 books. Each one of those books, each one of them had details about my world. It showed how certain plants and animals responded to one another. It told me a little bit about how certain regions dress. It illustrated, in some ways, the consequences for using the magic system. And please, for the love of all that's holy, if you have a magic system, there should be deep and grave consequences.
Yep. You can't have that nowadays when you're doing, if you're going to be doing a fantasy novel, like, yes, you cannot pull the Tolkien Deus Ex Machina every now and then. You can't pull that stuff out. People are tired of that, and they're expecting more of the fantasy genre. So, try to wow people with those fantasy systems, and definitely have some sort of backlash system, because guess what? Magic, probably, if you have it, is probably costly to your system. It sounds like, think about electrolytes or blah blah blah. If you actually had a certain amount of magic in your system, that probably would be draining.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Taking the Majora system in Alazar, which is the name of my universe, and I'm going to spend this time to do a quick plug. I am at alazar.com.
Nice.
And the first book, Tales of Salazar, Milk, is in beta. So there's a little sign up if you want to read it. And hopefully the email won't go into the no man zone like it did with X. All right.
Cool.
And I thought we were going to keep on doing that. But in the Majora, sorry, I lost my thought there for a minute. And Majora, what it is not only the magic, but the energy used to run all technology. So if I have let's say in front of my computer, I have my white screen right there, I have a light here, I have my vape here, I have my Bose speaker over there. The amount of energy I have in my body is what makes all of these things work. They don't plug in, they literally pull Majora from my body. So if I do not have enough to make these things work, I can't use them.
That's interesting.
Or if I don't have enough and I can't maintain it fast enough, which is the reason why one of my characters had to do an energy shot. and they actually exist in my world. But I wouldn't have known that until I was just going off the rails, and he ran out of magic, and we had to do something. So that was the energy shot, and then I had to explain how those work. But that comes during the revision process. So we talked about organizing, how everything it gets organized, but I really want to spend some time on actually how do you build a world. You don't mind, do you?
Not at all. That's
my favorite part.
All right then. Every world should have an essential truth. There should be one thing that is true about your world. So when you start, this is even before plotting, you should write a sentence saying that my world is fill in the blank. It is a place of, this is the thing that will threaten life as we know it, and this is the thing that will save it.
Yeah, that tends to be the 4 things that, will go into it. At least, not only just the world, but also your plot as well. Right. So those are 4 very important questions to ask.
Right, and you have to answer them, and you have to answer them honestly, because if you're trying to do something because Brandon Sanderson did it, or and my head just went back. Any other fantasy writer, pick Choose Your Own Adventure, did it, you're not going to back it. You're not going to want to write in it. You're not going to continue to want to write in it. It will not ring true. It will seem fake, and your readers will smell it coming off the page, like your raw draft, right? And so once you have those things, the next thing you need to have is, if you are using magic, the kind of magic it is, how people use it, how people interact with it. Is it legal? Mm. Because in some cases, for instance, in Harry Potter, it is legal for people over the age of 18. Unless they're in a structured environment. Right?
That sounds responsible.
Yeah, Xavier, you're not about that. I know that.
With mine, with the Majora system in Alizar, people are only supposed to have a certain portion of magic. They're in one of the houses. If you go back to the book Bible, you'd notice that there are seals, and each one of them are a certain house that represents a certain element, a certain type of Majora. If you have all of them, you're considered sanguine, and that is legal. You can't become a citizen, you can't get married, they are legally allowed to dampen or lessen your powers, all these things. There has to be a
so magic has like a classist system.
Yes. Right? And does this determine your class system? Like the airbenders and firebenders, or the bloodbenders or earthbenders, right? Does it, or being pure Muggle-born, or being a Muggle, or being purebred? Does it determine that?
And what part of culture gives you more benefit versus the other?
Right. And these are things that you answer as you pull these out of your first draft. Because once again, your raw draft is you on your blank slate, your subconscious going free and clear, and you will notice that you will answer a lot of these questions in the raw draft. All right. As you put together, you ask yourself, as you read over, you ask yourself, what does it look like the consequence of magic is here? And if it isn't, that's when you pencil it into your book Bible or your gazetteer, which I'll talk about. Somebody, I believe Kate asked me what a gazetteer was. That's a book Bible or a glossary for a specific book rather than an entire universe, which is what a book Bible is an entire universe by definition. I got that idea from Burroughs.
Okay, so a book Bible actually covers the whole series or the whole universe, and then okay.
A gazetteer is just particularly for one book. The thing with Burroughs is that a lot of he was a pulp writer, sort of like I am. So his stories usually dealt with one particular area of Mars and the surrounding planets.
Yeah, you're referring to the John Carter books, right?
Yes, John Carter and the son of John Carter, who, once again, I don't know what it is about you two, but my brain just sparks and a little piece of information just leave.
Yeah, I've only read the first 3 of those books, so they all, of course, involved John Carter. But yeah, I really like Burroughs.
Okay. And what he would do is he would have little glossaries of everybody's name, who were they related to, a pronunciation of certain places, how um, this area is the kingdom that this person rules over, and this area is where these people come from. And it'd be in the back of the book, so you'll be able to refer to it in case you got lost. And that's what a gazetteer is.
Okay. Okay.
But these are questions that you ask yourself as you're reading through, going through your first rewrites of the book, not before.
Yeah, and that actually makes me think of something. I was listening to an interview with Ari Salvatori the other day, the guy that does the Drizzt series for Forgotten Realms.
Yes, that was the other person I was trying to remember. That's one of the things that kind of went up my ear. Go ahead.
Okay, he had just said that at a certain point when he was starting to write the series, back in the late '80s, he knew exactly where he was going with it, but now it's like almost like 20-something books. Like he's like almost at the 30-book mark in this series, featuring one particular protagonist. Mm-hmm. So the question is, how do you keep track with that? And Bob has said that he just goes to Google, because there's at this point now where he's at the career where he and the amount of books that he can't even remember the stuff that he's written. So he will consult Wikipedia and will go back, because people are doing it for him. People are making those production Bibles for him.
Right.
That's awesome.
Through the power of Wikipedia. So all he has to do is like, how many, like, well, I know that Brenner, the dwarf character, has a friggin' scar, but is it on the left-hand side or the right-hand side? He just has to go to Wikipedia and find that shit out.
Google knows.
Yep. And not only does Google know, but Google knows exactly what page it is. And so he just has to look back through and go like, oh yeah, huh.
Oh yeah, I wrote that. That's right.
Yeah. And then now it's totally
pretty good at this right thing.
Yeah, it's totally coming back to me now.
That's crazy. Oh gosh, I'd love to get to that at some point in my life where I have to look at my own stuff.
Well, that's just it, and that's what, like, 30 years later of as far as the career goes. So after writing, that pretty much is. I know he's definitely done more than a book a year, but as far as just that one character, he's written at least one book of that character a year. So that character's as old as his writing career pretty much is, as far as published work.
Right. And you forget all those little details. You forget all those little teeny tiny details.
Well, I remember hearing that, like, as far as the capacity of the human brain, you only have like this amount of storage for like 3 lifetimes worth of information, and we're always kind of like pushing out a certain amount that we don't need. Mm-hmm. So if you think about how much in little amounts of information that you could stow away as an author about these little worlds, you do need these production Bibles, or like in the case of Bob Salvatori, legions upon legions of people that are going to be creating Wikipedia pages to totally get for them to wrap their own heads around what you've written, and then you can later on wrap your head around it.
Right. Because it amazes me that people, they've been writing for 20, 30 years. Let's just take Stephen King. I have read everything that man has written, good, bad, and The Dark Tower. and so...
Wait, so where do you place that then?
It's one of those things where it's kind of like that email. It's neither spam nor inbox. It's just...
It gets its own thing.
Yeah, its own thing where he wrote himself in it, and he made so much money doing this that he can just tell the reader, you don't like this ending, stop reading here.
Fair enough, yeah.
And then goes right on 3 more chapters. Right? But there is a lot of information there. There's a lot of very small details. And honestly, all us writers, once we are done with the thing and we have made our front and back matter, done, gone, right?
Yeah, moving on to the next thing.
How many books have yours have you actually read after you have finished reading them? You're probably sick of them. You're probably still sick of them by now. But if you do it right, your fans will live in that world.
Yeah.
They will build houses. They will write sketchy and trashy slash fiction in it. They will dress up as your characters. They will live and breathe it. And so you don't really have to.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's another reason why you really should be building this from the subconscious. You should be building it organically. That way, it becomes relatable because it's truly human and it isn't manufactured. Same reason why people love sitting down to a home-cooked meal, even though they don't want to be the one to cook it. Or sometimes then getting the frozen taquitos like I have over here. Okay.
We got taquitos.
Yeah, I have taquitos, and it fills my stomach when I'm going between podcasts and between work and a podcast, and I still got to write tonight. But the meals that I really remember are the ones that were homemade or that were well made and well crafted, right? Because somebody put time and energy and thought about it.
Yeah, and they didn't necessarily follow a recipe.
No. The best cooks I know haven't used recipes since Clinton administration. Truly.
Yeah, yeah.
And for y'all young people, that was a long, long time ago, before the internet.
Yeah.
Because Al Gore hadn't invented it yet.
Yeah, Al Gore. He invented it. Sure. Check Wikipedia.
Yeah.
If Wikipedia hasn't had enough sponsorship for tonight, Wikipedia. Look up Al Gore. He invented the internet. It's hard. I can't say it with a straight face because it's not true.
I know.
So, CK, so after you get that fast draft done and you start going into your edits for your next one, you try to just pull out the good stuff, or how do you go about that? Or what's your process like there?
Well, my process is I start with the book Bible and I have a named character. Boom. Everything that I've written about that character as I go through my rewrites, I just put a note in my book Bible. Right? So the character of Sage Alicour that I have in this first book, Milk, all I knew was her name and that she was a runner and that she was going to be in the beginning of this book and the end of the book.
But now you know her eye color, right?
Yes, absolutely, totally black, right? And as I go through, as I'm reading through and editing the version where they're in the Black Forest, hiding from quarters and daffodils that glow and may or may not try to bite them. Her hair color is white. Her skin color is gray. Her eye color is black. And somebody had noticed that she was sanguine, and am I going to turn that way? So I write down their name, and I pick up that he was born with the House of Prana, but he has enough full magic, sanguine magic, that he might turn into a humaniform. He might turn into something else. Actually, he might turn into something else. Something like Sage. What is that called? I decided to call it a humaniform that also has a heading with a description. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, then that's another sect of possible humanity that could, because of the multiple forms of magic manifesting. Correct?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I like that world. That's a neat little world that you're building.
And the process, it sounds like a lot when you're trying to revise, but if you're going to dump things out anyway, you spend most of your time revising, reading, and highlighting things, taking it out, making notes anyway, correct? Wade is not really certain about this.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm listening still. I'm listening.
Tell me about your revision process, Wade.
My revision process goes more into, I guess.
There is no wrong answer. Just
refining, and really trying to get to know my characters even better. So that's kind of like yours, but I also look. I'm always looking for like plot holes and things like that when I'm when I'm revising. And you sound like you're just doing more of, okay, just taking this character and kind of running with it, and then whatever that character goes into, then maybe running with that. I don't know. It seems like to me it's a little convoluted, but what you're describing right now.
Well, the thing is that it's the raw draft. It's supposed to be. Okay, when you're writing your first draft, it should be convoluted, it should be nasty, it should be ugly. Once again, the stinky is the poo emoji, right? Right. Your revisions, your first real draft is when you go read through it and you correct your spelling and you correct your grammar. You're like, what the hell are you doing here? No, you should be more closer to along this line, because this is how it works with the plot, trying to identify where your plot holes are and how to fix them. And when you find something that is good, you write that down. You note it. So this is the plot device that we're using. This is how things work in the universe in case you want to use that again. Or this is the way that this character acts because she is internally good, or let me use an example. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so say like a character has a reaction that surprises you or whatever, and you're rereading and you're going, okay, do you think to yourself, okay, do I need to go back in time and figure out why that person acted that way? Do you worry about those sort of questions?
You absolutely do, because the way that they react that surprise you is probably closer to the rules of your universe than the one that you set up in the plot. So it's well worth examining why they did that and what things in the story as you've written it so far has led them to do that. And if there is a hole in the plot, you want to fix that according to how they are acting and reacting as you've read it. Am I making any sense?
Yeah.
You are making sense.
Because the way it's looking, it's like, I don't know. Actually, it's more like. So,
just thinking. You got me thinking.
No.
And so.
No, yeah, that's how it is when it comes to anything. When like your characters have to, like you said, like if you're going to be going ahead and those characters are going to go off the wall, you should justify those at least in your head. And if you're going to be explaining these things not in that book, maybe you're going to be explaining those in another book. Maybe you're going to be doing a prequel series. Maybe there's going to be something. But no matter what, you're going to be making that mental note to yourself of why that actually happened.
And let me say this too. Not everything you write is something you keep. There is a lot of stuff that doesn't go into the book Bible. There's a lot of things that don't go into the novels. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You got to be willing to splash, right? I mean, you got to be willing to cut and get rid of it. Even if it's a piece of writing that you think is good. I know this was hard for me at first. Mm-hmm. Like I think this sounds good. But it doesn't fit. It doesn't do anything. So you got to be willing to get rid of that as well, which is hard.
It doesn't adhere to the rules of your universe. It doesn't adhere to your character as you've come to know them. It doesn't make any sense. It just may be beautiful, but just there's no place in it. So I set it someplace else. I call that my graveyard.
Well, and that's no matter what, you have to kind of think about your characters always have had this specific background that even if you have not thought about it as the reader who is already kind of in it, like no matter what, sentence 2, you're already in this world. So no matter what, that character already has a backstory. So it's up to you to definitely know what that is, but also make it reinforce who that person is in the long run. Throughout Dinosaur Noir, there's kind of like a racial question between dinosaurs and humans, because it's just like the racial question between any of the races here in Canada. We have French Canadians and freaking English-speaking Canadians. Are we different? No. Are we the same? Yeah. But there's some little differences that we make fun of each other for. So there's always going to be that, and I bought that with my character. You know, he always is going to be faced with these certain situations where someone's going to kind of make fun of the fact that he's a 6'1.5" lizard, and he's going to be like, yeah, and you're a hairless ape. What?
With spray tan.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. So, and these things, no matter what, like that my character's reaction to those, the reason why he's become so cynical, that has to have a ground reason, and it's because if you're, the victim of discrimination, no matter what it is, if you wear glasses, if you're a short person, if you have a different color skin, if you have a different kind of religion, there's going to be always a reason that someone's going to pick on you, and eventually, if that is going to be the thing that someone hits you with, like constantly, that's going to become the joke for you, and it's not going to bug you anymore. It's going to become like, oh, you're going to call me that word. That's hilarious, actually. To me, it's very mean as far as you're concerned, but to me, it's very funny.
And not only that, but there's going back to your 6.5-foot lizard. There really shouldn't be he walking down the street and everybody is absolutely oblivious to the fact he's a lizard, unless there is a reason, a very good one. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And because it doesn't ring true.
Yeah, and that's just it. And if when you're in a society where that is like, the melting pot of society, you're gonna have people who feel lots of different things about different types of people, and not all of them are gonna feel the same way, and not all of them are gonna react the same way. So you do have to accommodate for that, and especially when you're building a world like that. If you're trying to be accurate to a real world, but at the same time put a spin on it with a sci-fi sense that I am. I definitely had to make sure that I'm acknowledging these real-world scenarios of which differences come between people, and whether that be just a small little passive-aggressive thing or whether that be actual aggression, that it's very relevant in society, and you have to reflect that. And that's just a part of the world building that you find along the way just through dialogue, because someone's going to say something stupid.
Right. And sometimes your character is going to lose their shit.
Yeah.
Another thing while we're on that, can we spend a little bit of time talking about Mary Sue's?
I'm sorry, you cut out there. Talk about what?
Mary Sue's.
Sure. And I think we lost Xavier in that little instant too. Xavier, you still there? We lost Xavier too. But okay.
Oh.
Darn it, he'll be back. All right.
Because he's just frozen in time. We're kind of like,
yeah, we had a little glitch there, obviously. But okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you know what a Mary Sue is?
I don't, so that's why I said go ahead.
All right, then. A Mary Sue is where I discovered it was from fan fiction, and I've seen it a lot more than I've.
Maybe.
Oh, hello, hi.
Xavier, you there? Maybe.
Am I? I don't know.
Are you there?
I've said yes a couple times.
Okay, do you know what a Mary Sue is?
I'm waiting for my No.
Okay. Going back, I heard about it in fan fiction. It is, let's go back to Harry Potter. You're writing Harry Potter fan fiction, and the character is, well, it's you, but you're like super awesome and super gorgeous, and you do everything right, and you've known the trio since forever, and then when they get in trouble, you're the one who saves them, and you're more superpowered than anybody else in the whole wide world, and everybody loves you, and everything is great, right? There's no trouble, there's no drama. If there is drama, it's never involved or caused by you, but you're the one who fixes everything.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, that's a Mary Sue.
That's a Mary Sue, right?
Okay.
I don't know where that came from, and there are male versions of that. I know there are, because there are male science fiction writers. Sorry?
Xavier, I think we got a little bit of a delay going between you and CK, so just...
I'll be right back.
You'll be right back. Okay.
I'm going to reset my browser.
Bye, girl. Bye.
Okay. Now, why is the Mary Sue important? What was our point on this? I forget.
A Mary Sue was important because we were talking about how your characters react to their environment and how the environment reacts to the character. It goes back also to the rules of your world. If someone is that awesome and that great, there should be a counterbalance, a weight, a cost, a consequence, a flaw. Not just that they don't like onions or something gives them a rash. I mean, a serious character flaw that balances that, either in themselves or that falls directly in the way of what they're trying to achieve in your novel.
Right.
Right. And when Xavier was talking about how his 6.5 foot dinosaur has had to go through these because people say weird and horrible things. That should be, oh, and we've lost them, stitched in to the fabric of your universe. The fact that people are going to be shitty and your main character should be in that upper 25% percentile of shitty people in the world. Why? Because they're flawed.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes it more believable and interesting too. Correct?
Yes, and because it is them getting in their own way that will stump them actually 3/4 of the way to the novel until they actually get their head out their asses and learn what they need to learn in order to slay this dragon, kill this monster, get this girl, get the artifact, save the world, whatever it is.
Right.
So, and a lot of things that a lot of authors do, especially in their first 1 or 2 or 3, is make the main character. They want to make the main character the most powerful, the wisest, the strongest.
Yeah, and that doesn't work because there's not enough flaw there to.
Right. There is not enough to. There's not enough drama. There is no reason for a reader to sit there and be interested in someone who has it all together. The first thing, we do want a main character that we can cheer behind, but we also want one who we feel sorry for, or you go, oh, that poor sap. I'm like, how is he going to? I see how he got into this situation, and I see that he doesn't realize why he isn't getting out of this situation.
Yeah.
And as you can see, I spend a lot of my time writing character-based stories rather than plot-based stories. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of fighting. And that whole decapitation thing did happen.
For reals.
For real reals. For really real reals. That really happened, and it was gross. But I kind of liked it. But also, there was a peach tree involved in there, too. Because they actually landed in a peach tree.
Oh, okay. So yeah, a lot of that stuff that you just mentioned, that's a lot of the Libby Hawker stuff. I mean, she talks a lot about that with the characters, and
yes, she does.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll plug her book again too. Take Off Your Pants, Libby Hawker. Right? It's a good read for sure. Yeah. So how are you getting ready for Nano? Because I haven't really touched on that yet. But a lot of people are super jazzed. You know, everybody right now, the fever pitch is way up, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then 2 weeks from now, there'll be a lot of people that go, screw this, I can't do it.
Fuck that 50,000 words, man. Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to be. I am preparing the same way I talked about. I have let me start. I'm being a rebel this year, and I'm writing 3 30,000 word novellas.
Nice. 90,000 words.
Right. Big. Right. 3,000 words a day. And I'm a slow typist. When I say slow, I mean like 35 words a minute.
Oh, wow. Okay.
30 words a minute if I want them all to be spelled correctly. And so I get somewhere between 1,200, 1,500 an hour. I set a goal of 1,000 an hour, 3 hours a day, which fits really nicely in that 8 to midnight. During that time where I write from 8 to midnight every night. So it fits every night. Saturday and Sunday, your birthday, my birthday, Jesus' birthday, 8 to midnight.
Every night.
Every night. Awesome. And so there's 4 hours there. I give myself 3 hours, and that allows for my youngest daughter calling me about the achievement she got in Fallout, and my husband walking in, asking me, did I see something on a TV that's like on a different floor? With the cats coming in, things setting on fire. It allows for that time too. And I'm still going at a really good pace. Now, once again, these are raw drafts. They will stink, but it is about finishing.
Right.
NaNoWriMo and the art of writing is about starting a project and finishing it. So I am going to start 3 projects, and one right after the other. I have all my plot beats written out. I have them separated by day, so I know theoretically what I should be writing each day.
So okay, that's a question I had earlier. So you do that. You got your 30-day ally. We'll just say your 10-day. Your 10 days worth of plot sheets, and you start going on day 3. It diverges. It goes way off. Do you just like? Do you redo those beats then so that you have different beats for the next day, or do you just keep plowing ahead? How do you deal with that?
I keep plowing ahead because 3,000 words is my minimum. There is no maximum. So I'll write until sometimes I write until I get mad and don't want to do it anymore. I write until there's nothing more to say. And then I look at where we are and I put those 3 little asterisks, like that's the end of the chapter, and I go on to the next thing.
Okay.
Because once again, the raw draft is not supposed to be a coherent piece of literature. This is not the Pulitzer Prize at this point. This is getting things out of your head and onto the page. Rewrites, your revisions are where you sit it there and make it look good, clean it up, put antiseptic on it. That's the next draft. This draft is where you get everything out. This is the page you edit.
And no matter what, it doesn't matter. And that's probably where I'm getting hung up, because I think I try to get myself thinking, does this make sense? It's just going where it needs to go. And what you're really saying here is it doesn't matter where it needs to go, because it's going wherever it's going to go.
It's going wherever it's going to go, and you really should let it go there. Oh, hello, Xavier.
Okay. Yeah.
You really should let it. Yeah, I can hear you.
I had to actually fully reset my computer.
Oh, sorry, baby. But hey, go ahead. We're talking about just letting your writing at this stage. This is the stage where you want to sit up there and go off on tangents. That's where you find the interesting things about your world. When you go and just let. I'm about to sing "Let It Go." Just let it go and write what you're going to write, right? And keep doing that until the story is finished. Are you one of those guys, Wade, who after you finish the manuscript, you let it sit for a couple of weeks?
I'm just a bad finisher in general. I'm really good. I'm a good starter, poor finisher.
Okay, then this will help you finish, because we're not even thinking about whether or not your words are spelled correctly at this point. Did I finish the story? Did I finish writing everything I wanted to write about how they went from point A to point B? Yes. And then you're done. And that's the goal. That's the goal of NaNoWriMo. That's the goal of this podcast on many levels, is how to finish it.
Yeah. You gotta get to the end at some point. That's right.
And you do it by killing your inner editor and just writing. No matter where it goes, no matter what rabbit hole it takes you down, especially at this state, just go until you're done. And when you're done, you close up, you set it aside. And the funny thing is, you will be amazed for all your grieving and all your your second guessing yourself when you're writing it. You'll be surprised. 3 weeks later, you go back and you read what you read. Aside from the parts that are just weird, or like I don't remember what I meant by that word, like. Other than that, I'm a pretty good writer. It's amazing what happens when you sit in there and you give yourself some time. So don't judge yourself when you're putting words on the page. That isn't the time for that, right? And that's the key to finishing. Killing that inner editor, that one that crinkles up when I say get rid of spell check.
Yeah. What was your list? Get rid of spell check, turn off autocorrect,
and then disable. Full screen and disable backspace.
Oh yeah, disable backspace. That's the one. That one's gonna get.
That's the part where everybody freaks out.
Yeah.
Somebody literally called me and told me to shut my whore mouth about that. Backspace button. They got mad behind that backspace button.
Well, and that's like, as much as I could say, like, okay, I'll turn that off. I know that I would be hitting that backspace. I'm like, wait, what's happening?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that so much. I was thinking about it. It's like I'll write 3-4 lines and I'll go, nope, and then go back. Yeah, say I gotta stop that. I gotta stop that.
Don't do that. That time you could be writing more words.
Yeah, instead of pushing that button, right? You just be putting more words down. Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. I swear, I mean, there are other professions like this too, I'm sure, but writers are their own worst enemies.
Yes, we get in our own. We get in our own way so badly.
Yeah, it's very, very true. Do we have any questions for the site, Xavier? I haven't been on there in a while.
You know what? I'm not even. Oh, there you go. Somebody put up the My Story Can Beat Up Your Story. That is, by the way, that is my editor's favorite plotting book because she writes a lot of Conan Men in Fur Diapers type books, and she is wonderful. I don't see any questions.
No, just Patrick give me a bunch of shit about a good starter but a bad finisher. Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew when I said that was going to be. I actually thought Matt Morris would jump on that. Actually.
Okay. Oh, and was that Patrick who was asking where my stuff can be found?
Yeah,
yes. He's asking under which pen names he can find you. Yeah.
There was a legal matter there, so I don't send anyone to any of my old stuff anymore.
Okay.
But
so where should they find your new stuff? Where should they go?
Actually, my first new novel in this new universe is in beta, so you can go to my mailing list at Alazar. That's ALLAZAR.com/beta_team. I'll put it in there.
Nice. Get on CK's beta team.
And I believe I just got a copy of that, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
And let me make sure that link works because I was fussing around with it earlier today. Actually, you can go to, yes, it is working. Let me log out. Let me log out and see if it's still working.
Yes, it is working.
Yes. Okay. Join the beta team. You can go to alazar.com and across the top it says join the beta team, and you can click there and enter your information.
Nice.
And I will get a copy of that out to you.
Excellent.
So that's what I'm doing to prepare for NaNoWriMo.
You got a class coming up on November 3rd, and it's all about world building, right? What sort of class? I mean, is this like an online class, or is this going to be just in Austin, or what's going on with that?
In Austin, our municipal liaisons, the folks who organize the write-ins and everything, are friends of mine. So what happens is that the weeks leading up to NaNoWriMo, we have panels. Our first panel was, what is this what is this writing thing, what is NaNoWriMo? Introducing everyone to NaNoWriMo. The next one is Plot Bunnies, how to plot. Jackie Dana actually teaches that class. And then the next class, which is one that was this last Tuesday, is fast drafting, because that's the last instruction we give before folks actually start. And I usually set them up with a way so they have, if they run out of energy, they can look at a plot sheet and keep on going. And if they don't want to follow the plot, they don't have to, right? And a week after, just as the new car smell of this starts to wear off, but before they say, fuck these 50,000 words, I come in with the world building, to give them something to think about and to energize them again so they can keep writing. We're also going to be, interspersed with that, we also do Scrivener, the basics of Scrivener and the basics of Novel, because both of those software programs offer 30-day trials for NaNoWriMo.
Yes.
And then we also do the God's is over, and we do nothing with January. December. December is just be lazy, and starting in January, we start with the What Now classes, which talks about revision, and then we go into advanced world building then.
Nice, excellent. Well, if you're in that area, check that out. That sounds really, really cool. Really, really cool. So, we're at the top of the hour. Can you believe it already? It's hours flew by.
You know what? I can believe it.
You had a little computer issues tonight, but you know.
Yeah, at one point I realized I'm like, wow, I'm gonna be gone for about 8 minutes. So yeah, by the time I get back, about 10 minutes, and yeah, now it's been 10 minutes. So yes, this feels like the right time to end the show, Wade.
Okay, all right. Well, Chrishaun, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure, and very interesting to talk to you. And I feel like I learned some stuff tonight, which I love. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing with us. So.
And thanks again for having me. I always enjoy spending the time with y'all.
Oh, thank you.
I don't enjoy having to just work, but I'm still here.
Nice. So, yeah, and I know that when you posted earlier, I think it was on Facebook, there's still some issues technically, I guess, going on with our feeds and stuff. So one of these times, Xavier and I will get together and get everything ironed out. But please make the effort if you can, please, to help us out. Spread the word, share us around the internet, everybody, and leave us those reviews and stuff. We are here. I know Xavier and I, and I'm Leah and Michelle too. I'll speak for them. We are going to be here. We're not going anywhere. So take some time, share things around. Even if we are all sick at one time, it's okay. So.
Apparently, like as a Canadian, I'm just impervious to this American disease of influenza.
Yes, I guess you are. So, which is good.
It's too cold here for that kind of level of sick. I don't get it.
You have poutine.
We do.
Yeah, poutine. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I don't get sick. My freaking system is lined with gravy.
I just blame the damn teenagers I work with anyway. But anyway, so
I'm 50% freaking potato at this point.
I'm a Texan, so I'm 73% queso.
There you go.
That is also my blood type.
I don't know if we'll do it. Are we doing an after party tonight? You guys just stick around.
Oh yeah.
I can stick around for a little bit.
I'll be around for the after party. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. We'll put that link in, and thanks everyone for listening live and chiming in. We do appreciate you guys. I get Xavier. Do you got anything to say?
Just one thing.
Okay.
Good night, internet.